You walk into your local grocery store, and you see the illusion of choice. Dozens of brands, competing logos, and unique store names. But behind the scenes, a single private entity is pulling the strings of nearly every item you place in your cart. They don't own the building, and their name isn't on the sign. Yet, they control the supply chain, the pricing logic, and the very inventory of over 14,000 stores across the United States. They are the wholesalers, the silent giants of the American economy, while you're distracted by the competition between brands on the shelf. This one company is deciding which brands even get a chance to be there. Meet C&S Wholesale Grocers. They're the largest wholesale grocery supply company in the U.S. And for most of their century-long history, they've stayed intentionally invisible. But the invisible era is ending. As the grocery industry consolidates, this company is stepping out of the shadows, moving from a warehouse floor to the front of the store. But why would a company that already controls the supply chain want to own the stores themselves? And what happens to your grocery bill when the middleman becomes the owner? The story of C&S begins all the way back in 1918 in a small brick warehouse in Worcester, Massachusetts. Founders Israel Cohen and Abraham Siegel had a simple pitch. They would deliver goods to independent grocers faster and cheaper than the competition. For decades, the business model was straightforward. They acted as the bridge between massive food producers like Tyson, PepsiCo, and Nestle and the local supermarket. They built a massive network of over 60 distribution centers, utilizing a revolutionary roller system in the 1940s that completely changed how quickly a truck could be loaded. According to public industry reports, C&S now accounts for roughly 11.3% of the entire U.S. grocery wholesaling market. That's not just a slice of the pie. That is a fundamental pillar of the American food system. But the wholesale business is a game of razor-thin margins. To move billions of dollars of food, you have to be hyper-efficient. But retail? That's where the real money is. C&S realized that if they owned the stores, they could capture the profit at every single step of the journey. They began a massive acquisition spree, buying up struggling or bankrupt chains like Grand Union and Piggly Wiggly. By owning the brands and the distribution centers and the storefronts, they created a closed-loop system. They don't just supply the store, they're the store. And they use their own private label brand. Best yet, to undercut national competitors, keeping the profit entirely within their own ecosystem. But as they grew, they didn't just buy small chains. They started eyeing the biggest prize of all, the divestiture assets of the industry giants. In 2023, the grocery world was rocked by the proposed merger between Kroger and Albertsons, the two largest traditional supermarket chains in America. To get the deal approved by regulators, they had to sell off hundreds of stores. And who was waiting in the wings to buy them? C&S Wholesale Grocers. This wasn't just a purchase, it was a complete transformation. C&S agreed to acquire over 400 stores, along with 8 distribution centers and regional offices. This single move effectively turned a behind-the-scenes wholesaler into a top-tier retail competitor overnight. But this shift brings a massive vulnerability, complexity. Running a warehouse is about efficiency and robotics. Running a retail store is about people, local branding, and customer experience. When you merge these two worlds, the margin for error disappears. Mainstream financial analysts note that the integration of these stores is a high-stakes gamble. If the transition is messy, shoppers will simply go to Walmart or Costco. The invisible company is now very visible, and their reputation is on the line. They're no longer just a supplier. They're the face of the brand for millions of new customers. If they fail, the supply chain for thousands of independent grocers could be seriously jeopardized. But if they succeed, they will become the most powerful entity in American food distribution. The lesson of C&S is the lesson of the silent giant. In any industry, The most power rarely resides with the brand you see on the front door. It resides with the entity that controls the flow of goods. When a middleman becomes so efficient that they become indispensable, they eventually realize they don't need the middleman anymore. They need to be the end destination. We see this in tech with Amazon, in logistics with FedEx, and now in your local grocery store with C&S. Does the consolidation of the grocery supply chain lead to better prices for you? Or does it eventually kill competition, leaving you with fewer choices and higher costs? Drop a comment below. Have you noticed a change in the brands or prices at your local store recently? And if you want to see how other invisible companies control the things you buy every single day, make sure to subscribe. Thank you for watching, and click on the next video. We'll see you in the next video.